I was almost 2 years old in 1957, the year that my Uncle Joe died mysteriously, leaving Aunt Marianne a widow at the age of 28, with 3 children, the eldest of whom was 4. Perhaps it's because our daughter Anne celebrates her 28th birthday Monday. I confess, I never before reflected on how challenging it must have been for my godmother, my mom's sister, to be widowed at 28 with 3 toddlers. In the early 50s, Uncle Joe had been an officer in the Air Force and had been recruited by the Secret Service since he had demonstrated an affinity for language, being fluent in both Latin and Greek. He was sent to Syracuse University to study Russian. At the time that Uncle Joe died, he worked for Massachusetts Mutual. Or perhaps the insurance business was a cover for the NSA. Uncle Joe died while he was on a business trip in Boston. He was found dead in an alley. A death notice referencing Jersey man found in alley appeared in the Boston papers, and then it was mysteriously withdrawn without a trace. Even though my grandfather hired an investigator, it's curious that he was unable to find anyone in Boston who could explain how or why the notice disappeared. Shortly after Uncle Joe died, Aunt Marianne relocated to Summit, New Jersey, the town where our family lived. My maternal grandfather and my parents provided social and emotional support. Life was hard, though. Aunt Marianne's singular focus was to provide her children with everything they needed. As my older sister reminded us in her remarks at Marianne's son John's memorial service last Sunday, although we had only 6 children in our family, there were often 9 of us running around the house. In contrast to ancient Israel, where a woman whose husband died had no inheritance rights, at least in the 50s, Aunt Marianne was the beneficiary of Uncle Joe's life insurance. Our scripture readings today introduce us to widows, including 2 whom are actually named Naomi and Ruth. Ruth, Naomi's daughter-in-law, is an immigrant from Moab. And as a result, Ruth was looked upon with disdain because of ethnic and religious prejudice. Naomi and Ruth were destitute, lacking basic necessities, you know, those things we sometimes take for granted: food and water, housing, hope, community, and connection. We heard today the anonymous gospel writer that we call Mark criticize the hypocrisy of the scribes and single out the widow who gave all she had. In an article written by Father Addison G. Wright, he asks, is the widow's generosity an occasion of praise or an occasion for lament? Is she a model to be imitated, or was she exploited by the temple establishment into parting with what little she possessed, what she needed to survive? It's a different perspective, certainly than the one I heard growing up, but it's one that resonates with me. It's worth remembering that the Hebrew word for widow also means voiceless one. What if we gave ourselves permission to expand our understanding of widow to include all who are silent, voiceless, vulnerable, threatened, at risk? As people of the story, what messages might we take away today? There's hope. There's hope even when our situation feels hopeless. Boaz, who was in a position of power, modeled what it looks like to care for others with abundant kindness. We're talking about nothing less than a seismic shift from alienation to inclusion. Two women overcame formidable obstacles and succeeded in preserving the family line, which eventually led to King David and subsequent generations later, Jesus. Number two, corrupt institutions and leaders have the potential to hurt people, even the people that they're charged to help. Jesus, very clearly in our gospel today, condemns the value system that motivated the widow's action and the people who conditioned her to it. Number three, we can do hard things. We are resilient. As a world, as a country, as families, as neighborhoods, we are divided. Our hope lies in being the beloved community that we're called to be, activating communities of care, reaching out to the people around us who are scared, threatened, whose lives and basic needs are at risk. Each of us is responsible to quiet our hearts and engage intentionally. To paraphrase the words of Revolutionary Love founder Valerie Kaur, together we will alchemize our pain and grief into courage and energy and action. We will harness our rage. We will practice joy. We will summon our deepest wisdom to hold the light and be the light. We will make love our compass. We will refuse to leave anyone behind. Revolutionary Love is hosting a healing circle this Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. But in closing today, I want to share with you an excerpt from a poem written by Jackie Shelton Green, North Carolina's poet laureate. Continue to do the good work. Continue to build bridges, not walls. Continue to lead with compassion. Continue the demanding work of liberation for all. Continue to dismantle broken systems, large and small. Continue to set the best example for the children. Continue to be a vessel of nourishing joy. Continue right where you are, right where you live into your days. Do so in the name of the Creator, who expects nothing less from each of us. And if you are not continuing all of the above in community, partnership, collaboration, what is it you have been doing? What is it you have been waiting for?